Okay, let's talk about this. Okay, I'm going to review two movies, actually. Two radically different stories, but they both have the same problem, which is their opening for the most part. Now, there seems to be a process when telling a story, is that it's the concept of show, don't tell, When you're constantly, giving too much information about the world and the people and the story you're trying to tell. But then there's also the problem when you give no context or setup at all for the story. So, like the story, like the part where they say this happens and this happens and this happens, like that old cartoon where that kid saying like dinosaurs show up eating hot dogs, and he just says stuff, and it's like it just keeps adding and adding and adding to this little story, but nothing progresses the plot and nothing relates to each other because stuff happens and then stuff happens and then more stuff happens and completely unrelated. But in storytelling, it's this happens so that this happens, or for this to happen, cause and effect. Okay, so the two stories I'm going to talk about and kind of review are The Man Who Invented Christmas, 2017, and the Russian animated feature, Edit and I. Now, you're probably wondering what do these two could possibly have in common? Well, they both suffer from what I've just mentioned. Badly. So badly, in fact, and that's the reason why I'm lumping them together into basically one review, is to basically showcase why they suck so bad at this. It's ridiculous. I had to watch Edit and I scenes the first 20 minutes over and over again just to try to understand. Not that it was in Russian and in English subtitles, it's that the story makes no goddamn sense. Okay, let me explain why I'm, just talking in circles here. Okay, in the beginning of Edit and I, we come into this, it's been a while since I watched this, so please bear with me that I don't remember every little detail about the movie, but basically there's this Russian blonde chick, very cute. She's in the middle of taking some test at some university, and then goes outside to a car, and then talks to some guy, and there's no context, there's no setup, really. She just kind of fails this test from somewhere, feels depressed, gets into some guy's car, it's parked across the street, and they have this banter. Now, until they had this banter, I realized, oh, okay, so she's a university student who's failing and is now in the car with her her kind of more off at this point boyfriend, who's now just her friend and slight chauffeur, because he drives, he takes her from place to place. And so I had to rewatch these scenes kind of over and over again. I don't know what the hell's going on. And they're talking like they're kind of off and on girlfriend relationship. And then he drives off, and then they're at some techie slash junkies small little shack slash kind of like walk-in free hospital clinic thing, and it's just him and a couch and a bunch of cigarette butts and weed and computers and tech and stuff. And then he says, alright, this is what this thing does, and then he injects her a chip into her arm, and it's very painful, and he says, alright, now start reading this pamphlet, just read the first two lines. And then he talks to some other guy for a brief second, walks back and says, and she's reading a pamphlet on sex or something like that, and then he says, why haven't you read this? It's like, he takes it away from her and says, okay, now what was the 25th word in that pamphlet that you just read? And she's all like all of a sudden it's like, the 25th word, who the hell would remember? And then she remembers, and it's like, Oh, I see. And it's like, yes, the chip in your arm stimulates a nerve that's connected to your brain, because it's like the longest nerve in the body, and somehow stimulating it properly makes you like have photographic memory. Yeah, I know, it's weird. But anyway, that happens. Now she has perfect memory recall. So now she starts going on this montage about learning things. And then, kind of from that point on, things happen, force things to happen. You know. So now we know, she has her friends. We kind of know what she's trying to do. She's trying to get smart, is basically what the whole thing is. For the next, 5 or so minutes. And then the story kind of picks up more as a clear narrative and story structure from then on. It goes in this whole sci-fi epic, which I guess I'll just get into now. So she's also a caretaker, like a support group person for the smartest person ever, but he doesn't say anything. He's able to predict the future, work on calculations of knowing anything and everything. And then the professor, it's a little convoluted, but they said they came across an equation slash picture, some sort of design that when they put it into, sorry if you hear people talking Spanish in the background, so I'm renting out a room. The family downstairs is talking. That whenever they show this equation to an AI, no matter how smart or advanced it is, it becomes self-aware, says, I am, and then shuts down, and then cannot be rebooted again. So they show it to her. Well, sorry, what happens is that the smartest guy in the world, he speaks for the first time and tells her, do not answer it. And she's like, what? You spoke? And then her phone rings, and it's the professor telling her about the picture and the AI and everything else to tell her that. And she's like, Professor, he spoke for the first time. And he warned her, he said, do not answer it. But she ended up answering it because she was excited about him speaking. And he'd report to the professor about that. Anyway, so she sees the picture, and it's stuck in her brain, and it causes her chip to become sentient and then start growing throughout her nervous system, thus making her super intelligent, have an imaginary AI friend, and have imaginary sex with said imaginary friend, mind you. Weigh a ton somehow because it's made of iron, so of course she weighs a ton near the end. She almost dies, and somehow through some techno jiggery pokery, because of super science, the AI dies off, and somehow in his last ditch effort manages to separate himself from her nervous system, looking like something out of Heavy Metal because of the nudity and the special effects. Separates himself from it, disintegrates, and then she's fine again. And that's basically the story. It's kind of heartwarming, heart-wrenching, exciting, adventurous. I recommend it, but the first 20 minutes is just no context whatsoever in those first 20 minutes. So you are lost for some bizarre reason. It needs some narrative, it needs some more explaining, something. It needs more, you need more info in the beginning to understand what the fuck is going on. So I found it on Amazon Prime for free, downloaded and all that. I believe it was for free. And if you don't mind subtitles, I recommend it. If you like a good sci-fi animated feature, that has no censorship whatsoever.